Bitcoin dumped more than a mommy giving birth to a Bitcoin maximalist. However, will the $50,000 level remain strong? And massive congratulations to everybody that watched the last two videos and was prepared for this drop. But the real question is this dump over? I'll share you my exact thoughts and what I'm expecting as April comes to a close. And will this weekend price action drastically change the broader crypto market direction? And as well, why all of these news stories people are trying to attribute to why Bitcoin dropped are absolutely wrong, and they very rarely are the case. If you're not first, you're last, and 2 pumps is all I need for a blast. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Frankie Fistalot, and on this channel, we get our fists dirty so you don't have to. Absolutely insane, guys. We have a lot to be talking about in this webisode, as we've been talking for the last 2 days about this impending Bitcoin drop. And we got a nice little dip below 50K, and at this very second, we're teeter-tottering right around 50K, and so this is a big decisive moment. So let's get the nonsense out of the way first. Is this the beginning of a bear market? I absolutely believe not even close, right? If anything, guys, if you look at these charts for literally 3 minutes, you'll notice that the pullbacks that we've seen so far in this market are absolutely nothing. So it's way overdue for Bitcoin to actually have an actual pullback. And this could be the beginning of a actual pullback. Again, I don't think it'll last more than like 2 to 3 weeks max, but this is absolutely necessary, and I'm sure you're tired of hearing it because I'm tired of saying it, but this is literally the healthiest thing that this market could be doing right now. This is, if we want a 6-digit Bitcoin, if we want massive gainers over the next few months and, maybe pushing into August and September of 2021, if we want that, then we need this drop right now. And as well, the reason I get so kind of cautious when Bitcoin pumps so much is the same reason why I get so excited when Bitcoin dumps. Because once Bitcoin dumps, right? I've seen this a million times. And if you've been in this market for a couple of years, you've seen this a million times as well. Once Bitcoin does what it's doing right now and it bottoms, it is ultimately the biggest blast off scenario every single time. It is literally the perfect combination of people that are invested in crypto being mega bearish when it happens and they get very scared, and the people that are not invested in Bitcoin and think it's a scam, they come out of their hiding places and they start screaming, "See, I told you Bitcoin's going to zero." It always happens, and every time it happens, guess what happens to Bitcoin? You guessed it, mega pump a lot confirmed. And as well, guys, we did add some new ways to enter for this giveaway. There's only 6 days left. I'm pretty sure I put this to be announced on the very last, I think it was like the first day of May, but this might actually be timing out maybe the last day of April. It says only 6 days, so we're going to be doing it whenever this says 0. So yeah, make sure to get your entries in there. Make sure you're stacking them up. But as well, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, turn on those ghost notifications. And without any further ado, let's dump on in. Absolutely very big, guys. So before we get into any of the price action, the TA, anything like that, this is something that I learned pretty early on back in 2017, and it's one of the most useful things ever, and it's something I think people just somehow forget. Like, they know this, and yet every time there's an actual dump, I think maybe their emotions prevent them from remembering that what this scenario is and what this fallacy is always seems to be the case. I remember this actually specifically, I think it was maybe back in August of 2017 with there was some kind of Chinese FUD, something with China, and Bitcoin and everything dropped a lot for 2 months, which back then was huge because little did we know, we were only a few months away from the very top of that cycle. Okay, there was basically only one more massive pump that went on for 2 or 3 more months. There was only one more pump before the end of the bull cycle. And nobody really knew that. In fact, everyone thought the end of the bull cycle was around August and September, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, a few months before December 2017, because there was some massive FUD about China. And if you realize, I'm not even trying to remember what it was because it's irrelevant. Nobody cares. It doesn't mean anything. And the same exact thing with this, whether it's, the miners getting shut off and the hash rate, if anything, that's the most valid. That might have actually begun some of this downtrend. But again, then we have people talking about potentially the Biden thing, which again, maybe it had some level of impact. But as well, news very rarely means anything when it comes to price. Very rarely. There are those outstanding occasions where sometimes it does, but have you ever heard the saying, show me the price and I'll tell you the news? All that means is that as soon as people see something in the price, psychologically, human beings, we look for things for reasons why. We can never just accept maybe cryptocurrency needed a pullback. Maybe this was coming. This is not the first time this happens. In fact, it's literally happened dozens and dozens of times in just the last 4 years that I've been paying attention to this market. I've seen it so much that it just boggles my mind when people still do this. And all they do is they try to attribute a price drop to something in the news, meaning they think that there's absolutely zero way that the price was just heading that way anyway, and it has to be because of some news event. But similarly, think about it this way. Just a year ago, basically this time last year, right, we had the halving coming up in just about a month back in May of 2020. We had so much kind of bullish stuff going around Bitcoin. We had the Fed printing money and everything like that. This was back in 2020, and Bitcoin price was not really doing much. Why? All of this really good news, and Bitcoin was still under $10,000 this time last year. There was nothing insane happening. We were getting so much bullish news, and the price was not pumping. So this article kind of goes over it perfectly. There's a fallacy in the markets that news events trigger underlying price to move. Proponents of efficient market hypothesis argue that since an asset's price reflects all public info, a new piece of public info will cause the price to react around that event. And now this person says here, as an old market maker, I see this from the other perspective, one of a large interest looking for opportunities to capture liquidity. News is simply an event to trigger engagement from otherwise a market that is in relative stasis. I'm sure you've also heard the phrase, buy the rumor, sell the news. More often than not, people will assume that some piece of news is able to drive prices higher or lower, but they're only half right. The other half of the equation is that the price action would have already signaled an impending move, and furthermore, the large interests are already likely positioned. The people that can actually move the markets, the people that are actually making a lot of it, or just impacting the market the most, do you think that they read this Biden tax plan and all of a sudden they were like, yeah, let's dump billions of Bitcoin, let's dump, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency because of that? And then this article, again, this is a year-old article, but again, this just goes to show you that this is something that's been discussed in crypto for a long time. They talk about the CME, the CBOE, they talk about Facebook's Libra coin, which was, again, big, in the past, not in 2021. Nobody cares about it all in 2021, but they're just giving references of the past. Everybody expects large interests such as hedge funds and other institutions to step into the game around some news and just simply market buy up the price with billions or trillions of dollars. And it says here that narrative is unbelievably naive, and the institutional players would love to have you continue to think that. Basically, this goes on and on. I can actually just leave a link to this in the description if you want to read it. But the point is, guys, very rarely does news have anything to do with the price. And if you were looking at these charts over the past few weeks, again, it was screaming that obviously we were not able to break this 60K resistance. So if we just test it and test it and test it week after week after week, and we're unable to break above it, and we don't have the volume and the pressure to break through it, logically, what happens next? Well, it goes down. And then the first thing people do, which is just a huge mistake, I think, is that they look for reasons why this could have happened, because there could never be any situation where it happened just because. They ignore the fact that we've literally been failing at 60K. We've been unable to get the volume to break through 60K. We've had no pressure to get actually concretely above 60K for like 11 weeks, right? Almost 3 entire months. And now we're getting a drop. What else would you expect? If we cannot break through 60K, of course it's going to go down. And again, this happens all of the time. And my point basically is here, there is no reason, there does not have to be a piece of news that is the exact cause. And very rarely is there ever a piece that actually is the case of why the price dropped. Yet every time the price drops, there will be a news article or somebody pushing a narrative of this. See, this is the exact reason why it dropped. When realistically, Bitcoin was just overdue for a correction. But as well, so far, Bitcoin has held at one of our key fettuccine levels, right around 47,600. Actually, it went all the way down to 47.5. So it's already actually went decently below 50K. Currently, it's trading right underneath 50K. But again, we failed on our last recent attempt just in the last few minutes to get back above 50. And as I said in the beginning of the video, I wanted to talk about my exact thoughts and what I'm expecting as April comes to a clench here. There's nothing indicating to me that this is a bottom just yet. Bitcoin is still not really holding any of the key indicators or anything, any moving averages or anything that I can see that's really important for this. So again, we could see a situation exactly like we saw with this massive dump here on the 18th. We dump a lot, we get a pretty big bounce, but then we trade sideways for like 3 more days, where some people are saying, well, this might be the end of it, but then lo and behold, we keep going down. And again, I still don't think there's really any indication just yet that this dump is over. Again, for the most part, guys, the 21-week moving average down here on 42, 43K is not out of the cards at all until we actually get some clear reversal signs. And I just don't think we see them yet. And as well, like I pointed out at the beginning of the video, that the longer this goes on, the healthier it is, or mainly the stronger that the bounce will be. So for anybody looking at these markets that's new, the only mindset you should have right now is that, okay, well, this dump is going to allow two things. One, for me to enter better positions. Maybe I bought at 65K right at the top, and maybe I could now kind of average in below 50. That's one thing, so better entries. And two, this is the time when you get excited. This is when the best trades are made. I'm not saying this very second, but I'm saying these type of moves that are developing right now. So again, say we get that move down here. Say we come down to 42. Say we come down to this 21-week moving average. Say even for a few hours we even go below it, but let's say ultimately we get one or two daily closes above the 21-week, and then we see that volume around there. Then again, that's one of those indicators we look for where it's like, okay, we just had a pretty nice correction. We're down, over $20,000. Let's see how big of a drop that would be actually from here if we went all the way down to here. Let's say we had a 35 to 40% drop from the all-time highs of like 65K. Then again, that would be a beautiful, literally like the best time to be entering if that does happen. And it would be also incredibly healthy, because if that did happen, we get that volume indication and everything looks good, like, okay, yeah, this is definitely the bottom. Then very quickly, what usually happens is, that will give us the last moon boost to get above that 6-digit Bitcoin, I think. And again, if you look on these fib levels, all the fib levels that we have here have been hit so far. We had 30. And then we have, it was like 42-ish right here. 60 was a really big one, or like 58-ish. The next big one's like 120. So again, I think the longer that we can pull back and kind of just build momentum here and kind of spring load the price, the better it will be for Bitcoin price on the next blast off. Say maybe on the next move, we actually, shoot way past 100,000, go into the mid 100,000s, even 200,000 plus to end out this massive bull run over the next few months. That's an amazing scenario that so many of you will want because of the types of gains you can make from those types of moves. But as well, guys, make sure to enter for the competition and make sure to increase your chances as much as possible and complete all the things. People are asking me how do you enter the competition. The first link in the description, you literally just click that and then you just click these things. Some people were saying like, well, I don't want them to have my email. I mean, just make a fake email. You can just make a throwaway email. It's very simple. There's really no downside to this as far as I can tell. If you have an email with all of your personal information and you're just super paranoid for some reason that this site, that as far as I know is incredibly trustworthy, and again, I'm paying this site to do this for me as well. I have a subscription to this site that does this. But if you're super paranoid, literally just take 3 minutes and make a fake email if you really want to enter. And again, I don't see really any downsides to this. But as well, if you're interested in any of the sign-up bonuses, any of the hardware wallets, or anything like that for trading, getting involved, learning TA, any of that, make sure to check out our description below. And without any further ado, that's it for me. Bye-bye.